Bhagavad Gita is a book of mankind's collected experience of and answers to life's most basic questions. Who I am, from where do I come, what is my purpose and destiny, and most practically, how do I find happiness? These podcasts originate in the lectures of Neil Bhatt, a disciple of Swami Chinmayananda. They are presented here in 20 to 30-minute segments, each covering 3 of the Gita's 701 verses. Welcome to Gita Wisdom for Daily Living.
Discussing Chapter 7, Gnana Vijnana Yoga, Yoga of knowledge and its application or realization or wisdom, whichever way you define the word Vijnana. Vijnana, Visishta Gnana, spatial knowledge. Knowledge becomes spatial when we apply it. So it's an application of knowledge is Vijnana. At the end of the last chapter, Bhagavad gave a hint about what we'll be discussing in this chapter, where he says, among the yogis whose inner self merge with me and worshipping me with faith is the greatest yogi. So first of all, Bhagavan told Arjuna in last 6 chapters that become yogi. Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi, Yoga Rudhata Duchyate, one who is completely devoid of all sankalpa, all fancy of mind about what can give me happiness and where my happiness lies. Is such a person is a yogi. So the advice was Bhagavan to Arjuna and all of us to become yogi so that you can remove this parallax between tat and tvam. In our understanding of myself, I am this limited being, this consciousness confined in this body, mind, intellect is me. And Bhagavan says, your consciousness is no different than the supreme consciousness, which is all pervading. That parallax I have to remove. I see these 2 selves, myself and supreme self. How do I remove this parallax between these 2 and make it one is the goal. So the Bhagavan said to meditate on the Supreme Self. Right now we are meditating on limited self. We are constantly in the state of samadhi that I am this limited being and therefore I am in love with it. I love myself. Everything I do, everything I accomplish, I am very proud of it. So Bhagavan said that's because you are in the constant samadhi of being this limited self. You now have to contemplate on your Supreme Self, which is God. Brahman, the Ishvara, whatever name we give him. The problem is we really have no idea about what that self is all about. We have heard about it, we have been indicated by Bhagavan in 2nd chapter, but how can I devote myself to it? To devote myself, I have to have devotion. And devotion is nothing but love for the divine. And love is nothing but identification. Identification only comes, I have complete understanding or knowledge about that a thing or a being. More I know about that thing or a being, more I identify with it or him or her, then more I love that person or thing or a being. So to merge myself, to love the divine, to devote myself to the divine, I need to know the nature of that divine. So Bhagavan has devoted the entire chapter 7 for those who have reached that state of desire, mumukshutvam, that I need to be one with that. Bhagavan has given in the first 3 verses introduction. He said the 3 qualities you are going to require to achieve this. Mai asakta manaha. Mind should be in love with me. Asakta. One asakta, one who has the attachment. So mind should be attached to him, the Supreme. Mai, here Bhagavan says, the Supreme. Yogam Yunjan, who has become yogi just has been described in the previous chapters. Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi. And Mat Ashrayaha, and who is taking refuge only in me. Who knows that his liberation, his ultimate happiness lies in identifying with that Brahman only. There is no other source of long-lasting, everlasting happiness. All other things can give me temporary joy, but not long-lasting happiness. Asansayam. without doubt, I will tell you how you can achieve that. So Bhagavan had given indication. And the very first indication he gives us is that where to find him in this world. So we never see Bhagavan, never come across in my transactions anywhere. Where is he and what is he? So Bhumi apaha analaha kham vayuhu mano buddhi evacha ahankara ityame binna prakriti astadaha. This is the first verse each seeker can relate to and contemplate on. Bhagavan said, you see me every day. Everything that you see, hear, touch, smell through your senses is nothing but me. Everything in this world is made up of these 5 great elements. But these 5 great elements do not create any experience unless there is a knower. So to create the sense objects out of these 5 great elements, you need a knower. And the knower is mana, buddhi, ahankar. These 5 great elements create the sense objects which are knowables. And these 3, mana, buddhi and ahankar, creates the knower. That which will know the sense objects. So corresponding to these 5 great elements, we have the 5 sense objects, sabda, sparsa, rupa, rasa and gandha. But they all reside in my mind. We know from physics that the particles and atoms, they do not have either color, shape or smell. But we see the color, smells, shapes. It's all in my mind. So this mind is the knower. It creates the sense objects to enjoy. Itime binna prakriti astadaha. This world of knowables and knower, and the experiences and exchanges between the knower and the knowables creates this lower prakriti, the 8-fold prakriti of mind. So know that anything which you see, anything when you touch, anything which you hear is nothing but me alone, my manifestation only. This is the very first exercise one can do, that every time he sees, he should remember that it is nothing but his manifestation and nothing else. There is no other thing. And then he says, apara ayam iti tu anyam prakriti vidhi me param. So we may come to the conclusion that if I put all the things in this world together, then that's Bhagavan. Bhagavan says it's not like that. It is like if I have all the parts of Tesla in boxes, I can put a Tesla together. You need something else to make Tesla what Tesla is. So it says, apara ayam itu tu anyam prakritim vidhi me param. This is my lower prakriti. Lower prakriti is the grosser manifestation. It is something which can be perceived by senses. These 5 elements which we have described, I can see through my senses. Now the scientists can say, oh no, Neil, they were not knowledgeable. There are more than 100 elements. But these elements are related to my senses. More the sense perception, the grosser the element is. The space is the subtlest because you can only hear through the space. There is no other perception of space. But the bhumi is the grossest because it can have all 5 perceptions, starting from sabda, sparsa, rupa, rasa, gandha. Bhumi has all 5 of them. Space is only one, sabda, and so on and so forth. So as the more sense perception, the grosser the element is. Bhagavan said, this is my lower prakriti, which can be known through your senses. Jiva bhutam mahabaho yaya idam dharyate jagat. But by which this world is upheld. This entire universe is sustained by that element. That is my higher prakriti. Vidhi me param. Know that there is a higher prakriti of mine which is sustaining both the knower and the knowable. The knower, the mind, buddhi, intellect, and the sense objects. It is only possible if there is a life in that knower, if there is a living force in the knower. that living force is something completely different than mind, completely different than intellect, and the world of perception. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya. This is the womb of all the being. These two prakritis, lower, which is perceptible through my eyes and ears, and now we have additional means to perceive this world. So we have telescope and we have microscope. So we have expanded our senses by adding this equipment. But no matter how far we can go, we'll never be able to perceive anything without the consciousness itself. Even a scientist who knows all about the electron and quarks and say that's the fundamental building blocks, at least as we know, can only know if he's conscious about. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya. These two prakritis, lower prakriti which is manifest and can be perceived through the senses, can be understood by the intellect, and the para, which is unmanifest. I do not know what the life force is all about. I do not know what consciousness is. I know I'm conscious. I'm aware that I exist, but I cannot define it. No science has yet successfully defined consciousness. But once it's unmanifest, cannot be described. This undescribable consciousness and describable world of matter are constituting the womb of all things and being, no matter what it is. Aham kritsnasya jagataha prabhavaha pralayah tatha. Now Bhagavan says, I'm actually slightly different than these two. I'm not just the lower prakriti, I'm not just the higher prakriti. That's just the womb of all the beings. But I am the source of both. I am the source of both the prakritis, the para and apara. Aham kritsnasya jagataha prabhavaha pralayah tatha. These all knowables and knowers, they come out of me, and they also merge in me. It is something like the entire world of my dream comes out of my own mind, and also it dissolves into my own mind. When I wake up, the world is gone, none of the things. There is no knower of my dream or the knowables in my dream are there because the mind is something higher than both the knower and knowables in my dream. The Bhagavan says, I am the Brahman, which projects itself as the Ishvara through Maya, which creates Prakriti and also creates this mind within Ahankar to know I'm higher than this Parana Para Prakriti, and I am the substratum for the creation and dissolution of this universe. In our science, we know everything about Big Bang, and up to the few seconds after the Big Bang, we just do not know what was the singularity and what was before the Big Bang. That we will probably never know, at least in our lifetime. Bhagavan said, you can know everything about your buddhi, but beyond buddhi, it is very difficult to know. Mattaha parataram na anyat kinchid asti dhananjaya. That which is the source of both this world of my experiences and the experiencer, there is nothing more than that. That which has created this life in me, that which I feel as myself, there is nothing beyond that. In other words, there is nothing subtler than that. Grosser the element, I can perceive it. Subtler it is difficult for me. Then it comes to a point where it is unperceptible. He says, there is nothing subtler than that self, the life itself, the consciousness itself. Mai sarvam idam protam sutre manigana iva. This is obviously a very famous verse, a milestone verse, that this consciousness, this entity, which cannot be described, cannot be perceived, cannot be thought of, is the source of all the things and being, and all things and being is strung into it. In other words, are supported as this universe. This universe has laws, this universe has functions, this universe has activity, depending on this rajas, tamas and sattva. But all that is only possible because of that entity called consciousness. So the metaphor is about a necklace, a pearl necklace, where I can see pearls, and the pearls are held in a particular formation. And I know that there is something which is holding the pearls in that particular formation, but I do not see what it is. But I know that if you take that element out, the pearls will fall apart and scatter all over the floor. All is in this formation, as we call universe, because of that underlying principle which is holding this formation together as my world. Mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. Bhagavan continues giving indication what you should think about when you work in this world outside. Right now my world is divided into I and the world, the two entities. Bhagavan is trying to bring them closer to make that difference go away. Yourself, what you are made up of, and what the world is made up of is one and the same thing. My body and my chair are made of the same material called the electron and quarks. There is nothing else there right now. We do not know what is beyond quark, but at least we know. Everything in the universe is made up of electron and quarks. There is no other thing that we know right now. The Bhagavan said, if you have that vision, if you change your perspective, rather than I am so different that I'm an island by myself, this world is all around me like an ocean of samsara. But I say, I'm part of this world and the world is part of me. Your perception, your interaction with the world will be different. So now these are the things Bhagavan said, if you keep in mind, you will find my presence in this world. I told you that there is nothing other than me. Now I'm telling you, when you interact with this world, how to detect my presence in this world. Raso aham apsu kaunteya. I am the taste or the liquidity in water. The water, the way it feels. Bhagavan says water is water because of me. We have seen the dharma of anything is that quality which makes that thing or being what it is. There is something about water which makes water water. He said, that thing is me. Raso aham apsu kaunteya. Prabha asmi shashi suryayoho. And I am the brilliance in sun and moon. Sun and moon are what they are because of the attributes. If sun is not shining and it's not giving light, it's not sun. It may look like sun, but it is not sun. So is the moon as we see it reflecting sun's light. Well, if it is not doing that, it's not moon for us. Those attributes which are assigned to sun and moon, which make sun and moon what they are for me, Bhagavan said, that is me. Pranavaha sarva vedeshu, sabdaha khe paurusam risu. Bhagavan said, you are who you are because the life in you. The life is gone, you are not who you are. Same way, all these things, even the knowledge of Veda, Pranavaha Sarva Vedeshu. Vedas are sacred because it describes the ultimate reality, which symbolizes Pranavaha Om. If there is no description of Om or this eternal reality, Vedas will be just like any other book at Barnes and Noble. There is no eternal value for that knowledge. This knowledge eternal value because it describes Om. It defines Om. Pranavaha sarva vedeshu. Sabdaha khe. Space is perceived through sound. Paurusam risu. And a man is called man because he has the manly qualities. If he does not have manly qualities, he may look like a man, but he may be a woman disguised as a man. So Bhagavan said, that which makes thing or being what it is his or its dharma, and I am that dharma. I make those things, I make those beings and things what they are because of my presence. Punyo Gandhaha Prithivya. Earth is what it is, the way it smells. Now, we know that smell is just indication of all those minerals in them. Minerals are from where the entire Jagat came out. But I identify myself, mere desh ki dharti. Why? Because of that identification. Tejascha asmi vibhavaso. And I'm also that brilliance in fire. Fire is fire because what it can do. It gives radiance and it burns, and therefore it's called fire. If it looks like fire but it has no heat or radiance, it's not fire. I'm not sure that you've seen it, but there are fireplaces available which actually looks like fire and it acts like fire, but if you touch that fireplace, it is cold. Because that fire is actually just a representation for your mind to think that it's a fireplace. Then the heat coming out of the top of the fireplace, which is actually electric heater behind it. And the heat is coming out from the top of the fireplace, from the slat up above. You feel heat, but your eyes see the fire behind that glass. So you feel there's a fire in the fireplace and I'm getting the heat out of it. In reality, that fire behind is just a representation in some kind of a hologram. That you can see the fire dancing around, but if you touch the screen, there is no heat. It's cold. Your fireplace, it looks like fire, but it is not fire. So, if there is the brilliance and heat in that entity, then it is fire. And that brilliance is me. Jivanam sarva bhuteshu. The beings are called beings because they have life in them. If there is no life, they are not living beings. Tapascha asmi tapasviso. And the austerity and austere, that entity which makes me who I am, Bhagavan said, that's none other than me, the Brahman. We'll stop right here. If you find this podcast helpful, please support it by donating any amount by going to the episode's website at neilbhatt.podbean.com or at chinmayarichmond.org. Thank you. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri